So this is the start of video 2 for our weekly slides. I will try to get this all into a second video so you don't have to watch a third. Picking right back up where we left off with questions. Can you interview for a job you're unsure about? And if you interview and decide it's not for you but you're offered the job, is it bad form to refuse? So you have to keep in mind, job interviews are for you to be interviewing the company as well. It's for you to get more information about the company. Okay, so as long as you're possibly interested, it's not bad form to interview. If you know you're not going to take the job no matter what, then yeah, it's crappy for you to interview. But if you're remotely interested and you think there might be a chance, depending on the information you get in the interview, then you should interview. Also, interviewing is good practice. So again, if interested and you go interview, excuse me, and you go interview the company, they interview you, you ask the questions, bring questions to the table. If you're not sure about things, ask. Okay, and you'll also pick a lot up just for the interview process. But it's good to practice. And I know I tell y'all to practice out loud and do mock interviews, but the reality is not all of you will. So you then need the interviews to make practice. And I know we recently got the statistic that on average, people have 7 interviews in their lifetime. Once they're working. So you might get a job and not interview again for 5 to 10 years in some cases. Okay. So you need to practice because interviewing is an art form as long as you think you could be interested in the job. Let's say you go interview and you realize this is just not the job for you. Maybe it's 80% travel and you're just not a traveler or whatever the case may be. It's just not going to fit. If they offer you the job, you can just tell them, I really appreciate the offer. I'm so flattered, but I won't be able to accept. I don't feel that the position is a right fit for my goals, but I appreciated meeting with you and learning more about the company. Okay. You have to respond. You don't leave them hanging and don't respond because it's burning a bridge, and you never want to burn a bridge. Maybe this company has other jobs that you might apply for later. So you don't want to anger someone. And saying no to a job doesn't mean you anger them. As long as you do it respectfully, you'll be fine if there's a future job that comes up. In fact, now you have a contact for that. Okay, so you just have to be polite in that. You have to thank them, be gracious, and just say this position in particular is not a good fit for my professional goals or my personal goals, whatever the case may be. But I really love talking to you, and I hope that at some point I'll be able to join your company. So no, not bad form, as long as you do it professionally. Keep going. So how can you find out what career you really want? So there is, and this is linked in the slides, something NC State puts out called the Focus 2 assessment. Personally, for me, I did that last January, and I did not find it to be super insightful, but some students do. And that's free. So it can help you kind of get into, if you just are totally clueless, it can help you. Also, Clifton Strengths is a really good fit because it helps you think about your strengths and then what jobs relate well to those. You do have to pay for that, but because you're a student, I think it comes out to like $11.95 or $12.95. And those access to that information really becomes invaluable to, in my opinion, in the interview process and in the workplace. So you would benefit from more than just figuring out what career you want. But that's going to help you figure out your strengths and what jobs those strengths are a best fit for. You also need to think about trial and error. And it goes with this thing at the bottom of this, which says a lot of people fall into their career. A lot of people aren't 100% sure what they want, but they know they want a field. For example, I knew I wanted education, and I thought being a teacher was what I wanted. And when I say teacher, I mean in the public school system. Okay? But after doing student teaching and realizing I don't really like to teach to a test and that doesn't fit my value system, I realized I wanted to stay in education but go a different route. So I decided to apply for a job at NC State, and I sort of fell into the higher education field. And most people you'll talk to will say they weren't 100% sure what they wanted, but they found something that aligned with their beliefs and their values and something they were passionate about. And that's how they eventually found the career they wanted. So there's trial and error with that. But knowing yourself, what am I naturally good at, can really help you. What makes me happy? You also can talk to other people and shadow. So I use accountant again, just because several students recently have told me they want that. And you need to find someone or seek out help to find someone who's an accountant and talk to them about their job. Are you a social person? Maybe accounting isn't for you, or maybe it is, but you got to do accounting in a certain kind of firm. Okay. Maybe you want to go into a specific field of accounting. What does that entail? What education? What strengths do you need? So talk to other people. You can also shadow, and it doesn't have to be through the ag business shadowing program, which it can be if you want, but it can be out on your own. Maybe dad has a friend and he does sales with a certain company and you wonder what it would be like to do sales and work for that company. Ask your dad to connect you to and see if you could come to work and kind of follow them around for a few hours and get a better realistic feel for the job. But you've got to put the effort out there and know that sometimes it takes trial and error. There are questions I put here on the right that kind of, if you're really clueless, that could help guide you. Like one for me, I think is most valuable is if you had unlimited time and resources and you knew you would be successful, what would you choose to do? Okay. If it's working at a nonprofit, then that tells you you want to do good. You want to make an impact. You're less worried about money, all of that. What are you naturally good at? What are your strengths? Do you really enjoy being a leader and pulling people together for a cause? Maybe you need to lobbying or politics, okay? Is it important to develop your professionalism in one career line, or should you I put diversity. I'm sorry, it should be diversify. That is highly, highly dependent on the field, which I know is kind of a crappy answer, but it's a true answer and I want to be honest. If you're not sure what you want and you still have time to try some other things and some other jobs, you want to get internships in as many different programs and fields as you can. And that way you know what works for you, you know what doesn't, and it's going to be easier to sell yourself to all kinds of different jobs. Okay? But it's going to depend on the field. It's hard to really say more than that for this question, and I apologize. So job hunting practice. You need to go out there and see what jobs are out next and how to, again, evaluate a job posting. And I know we talked about this a little bit last week. Your assignment due on the 10th is about this. But I strongly push you. I didn't make it an assignment, but if you came to me and said, I'm looking at jobs, we're going to do this. Find a job posting that interests you. Now, if you aren't sure about a job, but it's a certain field, or maybe you're going to grad school after this, whatever it is, pick that. And make sure you do the same thing. But what skills are required for the job? What transferable skills are required for the job? That way, maybe it's something related to swine, and you don't have a lot of swine experience, but you have all the traditional or the transferable skills they want, and maybe a couple of classes, and maybe you did a couple job shadowing stints with swine. You'd still possibly be qualified if you have enough transferable skills and you can paint a clear picture. Then you need to take those skills that are listed, both transferable and non, and rate your level of comfort or expertise from 1 to 5, with 1 being the least comfortable. So if we go back to these transferable skills, maybe this is a job, it's extension, and you are heading up the youth division. So you need to be comfortable with public speaking. From 1 to 5, how comfortable are you? Okay, and how critical is that skill to the job? For the job I just described, if you're not at a 4 or a 5, there might be an issue, okay? Computer literacy. Maybe you decided you also have a computer IT background and you're looking for web design. If you're not at a 5, that's a problem, okay? So you need to do a real, authentic, personal inventory of each skill and requirement and figure out where you stand, okay? And then you need to take all that and figure out where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, and how am I going to sell myself to a hiring committee, all right? I'm not going to make you do it now, but that's part of the job analysis assignment. Like I said, you need to really think about these things, because in an interview, And beyond that, it might be multiple interviews. You're going to be asked to take that job description and do exactly what I just described. Tell me about a time that you used teamwork skills to overcome a problem. Tell me about a time that you had to rely on your computer literacy, okay? They're going to go through the job posting and do that. So do it ahead of time so you can make sure you're a moderately good fit. You don't have to have all the skills, but you need to have at least, I'd say, like roughly 50%. Okay. Now, sample professional portfolios. These first two are really great, and then there's one you should avoid. I'm running low on time, so I'll probably show you one here. But here's a good example. Yeah, she's from Appalachian, but it's okay. Okay, so everything, you're going to have different stuff up here at the top, but these are the tabs. They're clearly labeled. She did a nice little intro. She tells me about herself with things bolded. So even though it's a lot of text, I can pull that out because you're going to have to put your cover letter here. Everything is complete. So she kind of does, she posts her resume here. There's another one where he does like little blurbs about it and then posts the resume, but there's summaries. So really simple. You just post in a resume. Or some people have said the platform I chose, I have to put a link and it opens in a PDF. Fine by me. That might be a nice place for you to say, here's some highlights and then here's my resume. Okay, this person put goals. And I will tell you, go through this. I don't have time now, but go through this in detail. It's sort of what I've asked you to do. Think about what some of your goals and your values are, and there's a common thread. So she is a very religious person, and she talks about that in her About Me, how she ties in that as well as her goals for a future job. She did also, I can tell, use her Clifton strengths here to list them out. Little bonus. The reason I use this as an example is because everything's clearly defined. She went through and had good grammar. And it's not over the top, and it's easy to read. Okay, quickly, because I do want to get through it. Sample 2 is just a little more creative. It's not super fancy with pictures. I know that's not comfort level for some of y'all, and that's fine. The reason I said avoid this one, and I feel bad for this poor soul, but it was because it was hard to read, right? He's got the white font going over this, so it's difficult to read. Some of this, I think the resume was here, but there were some spaces that just weren't complete. Hard to read again. Look, so it has each year he's going to outline things, but he never finished. So it's incomplete. You don't want to create a website that someone could stumble upon. Again, there's no link, and it's not complete, and it's not a good fit. So this just looked a bit sloppy. It's okay if it's simple, if it has everything and it's streamlined, but don't be sloppy, okay? And then some reminders for you, okay? Your job analysis is due November 10th in Moodle. You all are not required to go to our speaker series or our executive in residence, but we do have those coming up, so I wanted to make note of them because these are great networking opportunities, okay? This is the chance for you to connect with someone, make a professional contact. If you're about to graduate this fall, it's a chance for you to possibly see what jobs they're hiring for right now. Maybe you have another year to go. Totally fine. What internships do they have available? Okay. The executive and residents are super relaxed and laid back. You come as you are. You don't have to dress up. And then don't forget your professional portfolios. It's a chance for me to make sure that you've updated all the content that we've gone through this semester. So I know you at least have something that's moderately updated and improved from what we talked about before. As we wrap up the semester, if you have questions, let me know. If you have concerns about assignments, let me know. Just try not to take those up until the last minute because all the details are also in your syllabus. And y'all have a great week.